Good morning, everyone. I am Angel from Lima in Peru, and this is my channel, Reading Means Life. Today, I want to tell you about this book, one of the most polemic ones, probably, in the last year, because today is the 1st of January 2018. This book was published in 2017, last year, and it's called I Am Not Your Cholo by the Peruvian writer Marco Avilés. What is the meaning of Cholo? Well, according to him, and according to the Spanish Academy, it means a mestizo who has both European and indigenous blood. But it has another meaning. An indigenous a person, an Indian, who adopts Western customs. Well, Cholo is one of the most difficult words to define. I have given you the definitions, but it's like water because it flows, and what is cholo for me is perhaps not cholo for you. Cholo is a person, as I told you, who has both origins, the Peruvian, sorry, the Spanish one, the Western one, and the native Indian, the Peruvian one, which is reflected in the race. I know that this word is not politically correct nowadays, but well, I still find it necessary to talk about race and also customs, attitudes, behaviors. He calls himself a cholo. He is a cholo. I am a cholo. I am a cholo because my family have both white and indigenous origin, and so does his. Also because my relatives come from, or my ancestors come from the Amazon and the Andes, and his come from the Andes too. However, I was reading about his background. His family was not precisely poor. They were not precisely servants, because the meaning of cholo in this title, I can understand it as servant. Yeah, really. Sometimes I say to another person, "I'm not your cholo." It means I am not here to do something for you. You have to pay for me. You have to ask me, please, something like that. Well, in 22 chapters, this book tells us about the things he experienced and the things he witnessed as a Peruvian, as a cholo, as a professional. Many things that he lived as a child, for example, not permitting the maid to sit with the lady of the house, the miss of the house, because she was considered inferior and she had to sit in another place, perhaps not sitting but standing while the others are sitting. Another chapter tells us about the many indigenous women, the many cholas, which is a feminine of cholo, that were made sterilized. I hope this is this is the English word. Had some surgeries in order to prevent them from having children, and it is not one or ten, but there were thousands of Indian women, indigenous women from Peru during the government of Alberto Fujimori in the 1990s. If this is not genocide, what is it? Some people justify it because they say, well, those women just have and have children and more children and more children, more than they can afford. So, well, that was or the end has justified the means. Other people said that no, that this is a type of genocide, that this is a type of mass murder, that, well, the debate is eternal in my country. Another chapter tells us about the typical situation of someone in this city, which is full of discrimination, that lets someone in in a disco because he is white, he or she is white, and the other who looks like me cannot enter. Of course, they will not tell you because you are a cholo, but because you are not invited and other euphemisms. But well, of course, everybody knows the reason why, and he experienced that. He had to be. He had to be with his friends. Your white friends protect you. When you have white friends, you know, you are more respected. When you are alone, you are nothing. I have experienced something kind of similar. I have noticed that with cholos, and this is what I have experienced at the university, sometimes we tend to see the white guy as the natural leader, you know. So why? Why is that white guy the natural leader? Because he speaks better? Because he's more handsome? Because he has more money? Because we know that with him our way is open? Well, another chapter in which I see myself reflected is one about schools. You know that in the 1990s, what is, and also 1980s. Even now, of course, discrimination persists. Our country is full of discrimination, but in subtle ways, of course. A boy whose surname is Kochachi. Kochachi is a Quechua surname, and if your surnames are Quechua or Aymara or any other type of indigenous one, you are sentenced because you will be the cholos of others. I am a cholo. I never discriminated them because of that. I had a classmate similar to the Kochachi character in this book who was called the Cholo, the Serrano. Serrano is the Highlander. The Andes is associated with indigenous people, you know, the Incas and the Indians, etc. And he suffered because everybody called him Lama, called him Motoso. Motoso is a person who speaks Spanish with an Andean accent. Unfortunately, it's very, very difficult for them to hide that accent. They pronounce the consonant R. In Spanish, there are two different sounds, R and R. And that sound R, it's really, really difficult for them to pronounce. They pronounce Z. So if I want to say car in Spanish, it's carro. But they don't say carro, but they say callo. If they say, I don't know, something like a rose, you know, the flower, in Spanish we say rosa, but they say josa. So, you know, that combination of having an indigenous surname, living in that place, studying in this school, being a woman, as you know, indigenous women are the most vulnerable people in our country, is the mirror in which we should look at ourselves. I have reflected a lot by reading this book. I have remembered many, many episodes I experienced or I witnessed as a child, as a teenager, at university, at the supermarket. The way somebody looks at you as saying, you are a cholo, you are an inferior, you will never be like me. So what I really like is that this the author admits that he has also been that he has also discriminated, right? He's not telling no, I have never done it, but he is calling us, he's asking us to open our eyes and to protest, to not be um, happy with that situation, you know, but to protest, to complain, and to try to educate ourselves and educate others that this situation cannot continue. Because as we insult and as we offend Cholos, we are doing that towards ourselves, and we cannot achieve full democracy. So that might be the lesson I can get from this book. I hope this is promptly translated into English. He lives in Maine and he's married to an American woman, by the way. So I hope that this book is translated into English if it hasn't been already. I don't think so. But that's all I wanted to tell you. I hope you find it, and I hope that by reading this book you can understand and you can change our society better. That's all. Bye bye now.